and then it goes really dark. So this actually was we actually faded up again. I did that on the set. We planned for that and brought the light up back, but I couldn't get it absolutely black at the beginning of this move. So we actually, at the color timing session at EFIL, we basically, took the light away and then did a fade up. Very difficult to get white, to have no light and become black. The snow is so light, needs hardly any light. And that's actually the difficulties always with that, because I need the faces exposed, but to get the light on the faces, so much light spills onto the snow, so it gets like too bright. So that we were always fighting that to control the spill of the snow, especially night in the snow. You need hardly any light and it still exposes. It's amazing. So it's very, you really have to control the light.
Sort of pushed you in.
That was it. We didn't see any more snow. And people were a little bit, I think, confused about, okay, it's an eye of the storm situation. What happened to the whole other part of the snow and the blizzard? Why did this superstorm end so quickly? So here, they're in the eye of the storm, and it's past. The eye is past, so we have one more beat of them in the blizzard. And I think a really strong reason Nolan wanted to do that is he wanted to see frozen people. He was worried that we didn't see enough people suffer in the storm. And so this scene coming up here, I'm really glad we added. Basically, the chances of Sam being alive are really small. And the audience understands that when all the people that they see on their trek are frozen. That's sort of the power of the scene. Reveal is the way Ueli shot that with the rack focus on from his GPS.
Mm-hmm.
That Dash and Dennis exchange here are really about Sam. They're really about, you don't think the chances are going to be very
high
very good,
for Sam making it right.
This is actually the cop.
Yeah, which if you don't recognize it doesn't matter, but that storyline.
Right. See the silhouette of the glass the cup being handed, and it makes such a nice cut inside.
What's going to happen to us?
Laughing because you could almost see the guy's hands behind the tent shaking it in the wind.
Of course, really. We ripped a part of the tent open. We stuck the crane in there, just the lens in there, and there's people shaking the tent. We couldn't make real wind here, of course, because it would be too noisy. So this is just people shaking the tent behind us. So funny.
Mm-hmm.
But it completely works. I mean, I don't even remember it. I see this scene and I don't crack up. Now that you mention it, I crack up again because it was really funny when you saw it. Because in the frame, in this little frame through the camera, you see it all working, and then you just take your eye away from the camera and you see like this host of people moving things and throwing stuff, and it's very funny.
David Brenner, the editor, rarely comes to set. He doesn't like to because he just wants to see it.
It breaks that wall, It
breaks that wall. Yeah. And he really did do a fantastic job on this movie.
Too, it was a reaction to people saying, we want to see the storm sort of unwind. We want to see what happened. Because originally there was no image of it clearing, or the only people that were sort of responding to it clearing or reacting were Dennis and Dash in the original fast food scene. And so we actually pieced this together, the reactions of everybody from other scenes, and then Roland created these images.
That's right, I remember that.
It was
sitting there in the editing room.
It was totally created in post. All the lines were added, written by Jeffery, and then added, and the shots were taken from other scenes, and Roland created the visuals. Sound design of this whole moment, it's all music driven, and the wind is very, very, very subtle, and the tent flutters are very, very delicate.
Soundstage.
Guy, people have said to me, it's so moving because finally you see clearing, and it's beautiful, and it recalls the opening of the film to me visually in a way of Antarctica. And I love this, the reveal of that. I remember I was cut away too quickly when I first did that, and Roland's like, no, let's stay on their faces. We want to know what they see. Wait, hold it. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that he did.
Most spectacular images, I think, in the movie.
And I love that Harold brings back his main theme, although it's more somber, it's darker. It's almost like a death march in a way to me, the way he has these low horns. So haunting.
There's only one image that we had to drop because Roland didn't like, it wasn't done that I always missed, which was them walking down the canyon, of
Right.
the buildings.
Right. It
Which
just
was
didn't
which was actually, something I'd always imagined, and I guess it wasn't done in time. But this is tremendous here.
It was one of the images in the first teaser. As soon as
Yeah.
people saw this, they were really drawn in. The shot that Jeffrey was talking about
Would
went
have come
right
right
there.
here before you get here.
And it was better in a sense because there was more of a sort of journey. They didn't get so quickly to where the library was.
You could see them walking through a frozen city more.
The problem was the shot just took you out of it because it wasn't photoreal.
We did shoot this in front of blue screen, and I basically just lit it as if it was sun.
Talk about whether or not we should see the smoke coming up out of the chimney.
Right. Because really,
I think we
see
did
it.
We put it in once, we
tried
took
it.
it out once, and at the end of the day we decided that even though, realistically if there was a fire you would see some smoke.
They wouldn't be acting the way they do when they come in, which is like, are they here? What's going on?
It just takes away
And
some of
the
some of the
drama and the suspense.
Reading room,
Yeah.
which Barry and his people changed over into this snowdrift,
Turning
and as
over
well, everything
these
was
hallways
snowed
are
and
all-
was iced out, and then we
Dr.
put-
Zhivago.
yeah, right, I love that actually, and we put of course some smoke, some dry ice.
I remember at one point we shot the stuff before they froze it over, and then we went away to shoot some other things, and I said something like, "Can we go back and pick up a shot here?" It's like, "Oh no, they've frozen the library now. You can't,
Right.
no going back anymore."
Now, they used to see the frozen wolves right here, and that's why they sort of...
Look a little down.
So instead we added this light under the door.
I love the beeps of these flashlights. They're xenon flashlights. They're actually very strong things, and you wouldn't really travel with them. But again, in a film, if it looks good. The best flashlights are the Surefire flashlights, and these xenon flashlights. But they're professional flashlights. These xenon flashlights, you can expensive, like $1,000 each.
Sort of went in and out, and we were glad we put it back. That Harold didn't overscore this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very restrained, and I really love that about Harold Kloster's score.
Touching reunion.
No.
Except for the cynical bastards out there. The first sort of day regular weather scene we've seen in a long time, and it really comes as I think a bit of it sort of wakes you up in the theater because you realize you've been in a storm for so long and there's sunshine again.
If we don't pan there was actually the border crossing, which you're not allowed to see in the show.
Exactly.
Where he has to say Mr. President again because there's this moment where the vice president, either he realizes, oh my God, I am the president, or he's sort of more torn by what he's seeing outside.
This is like now in Mexico. I wanted to be really warm, so I really changed the color completely of the gels on the lights.
The tornado scene at the beginning of the film, this area, the next 2 minutes, are some of the most re-edited, as Jeffrey knows, in our movie, because, and it was all about it was about two things. It was about the text, about what the president says, and it was about where and when and how many survivors we see.
We reveal.
Right.
And it for about a year and a half.
Good thing we're busy. I love the little
Poor guy,
Weather Channel logo. Yeah, we made
him
Ken
come back.
Ken is a great actor and did a phenomenal job with this part, and he
He was
had
a
to-
trooper. We came back all the
He had to
time.
re-record this speech dozens of times.
And he had to drive miles in the snow to the ADR stage. A couple of them were reshoots. I was glad we put this back because at one time we didn't really see them in space again, and it's nice.
Everybody had a lot of opinions on the speech,
You can
including Harold.
What's cool is the way Roland shoots these monitors. Is he just shoots people looking at green screen, and so you can have people watch and put whatever you want somebody to say, basically. Nice that Harold brings back his main theme here. Library. Really glad we added them. The idea is sort of like you hear the chopper sounds over them and people are drawn out, but it also just gives you this sort of scale that I think is really nice.
I never use very long lenses on this because I do want to see where we are. Because otherwise you wouldn't. I want to see this world. I want to see that we're in a army tent, and
Doesn't always make it easy on us.
it makes it very difficult for the art department. But that's a great thing. I mean, you can as well. I love to show the set too.
Here is really, really so good. We tried to intercut it at one point and go to some of what the text is, but the whole change works so well. And it's nice that in some versions of the text, we overstated it, that it was actually Jack that was found in this group. But you don't need to know that, because you see her, because of her smile, she knows who was found.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we ended up using the version of the speech that we did, because it's the one that I think tells you as much as you need to know without going too far overboard.
Do you remember this?
Oh, yes. That was actually one of the few real exteriors where we shot the people in real snow. It was very cold.
Yes.
This was actually shot
We had those
in front of a
helicopters.
blue screen. These helicopters were dropped on a...
We built the rooftop in front of a blue screen and had the helicopters land on a variety of different types of rooftops that we would change out and then ice up.
Shots here of the survivors. Initially, we had 2 or 3 of them, and then because of
2 or 3 shots, he means, not 2 or 3 survivors.
Right, 2 or 3 shots, and I'm really glad we ended up with just 1, because on the big screen, I mean, you really see it, and it's just enough. We're not over. I don't think we're hammering it too much, and it's.
Well, people seem to get the message, which is that
Right.
every one of those little groups on the rooftops has a separate story,
Right.
which would, be parallel maybe to the story of our group of survivors, and just different.
And there's not too many. There's not hundreds of thousands. There's enough, and it's enough to believe that it's just not one group, but not too much to believe that it wasn't a lot of
It
suffering.
was really important, when we sold the script, the biggest thing that we, were told by the studio, and I think it was a smart note, is we really, you have to find a way to end on a positive, hopeful note. And that's what we were trying to do here, because, it's not like a disaster movie where they save everything and make it all right at the end. So
It's hopeful, but it's also a warning. This last shot to me says, be careful how you treat the earth. Be careful how you treat this. This is the place where we live, and I love that we hold on it. I think it's a really nice ending.
Working with Roland and Ueli and everybody, it was always a blast.
It was, I think, the best shooting experience I've ever had. Including all the anxieties you have when you think, how the hell are we going to do it? The beginning, when you first think, will we ever be able to to get that going? And all the decisions you take, and just then sort of thing, you pretend that you know what you're doing. Of course, I didn't have a clue. Yeah, no, it was actually a very wonderful experience.
Yeah,
I'm very, very proud of it, I must say. This is the film I'm most proud of that I've ever done.
Mark Gordon tells me this story where Roland told him that he wanted me to design this movie. And Mark says, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Well, we should get together, the 3 of us get together." And at the time I was working on another movie, and I sat down with Roland and Mark. And Mark says, "The reason I knew you were perfect for this movie is because you were scared." I could see you trying to figure out how we're going to do this, and I knew you were perfect at that moment. And
And there we are. We have a movie now, which I have seen 7 times and can still sit through an 8th time without getting bored. I mean, I couldn't say that of any other movie I've done.
Okay, next part is Fox Flicks, coming soon.